Remember when I mentioned today was National Dessert Day? Yum. So Mika's helping us celebrate with a delicious apple galette. Here's what you're going to need. Flour, salt, sugar, butter, cream, Granny Smith apples, some lemon, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and walnuts. Mika, I'm already salivating. Let's get started.
Thank you, Tracy. Happy National Dessert Day. I'm so excited to share with you my apple galette with homemade salted caramel. So to get started, we're gonna do the pie dough, and here I have some flour, sugar, salt, and today we're gonna grate in some butter. If you were doing this in a food processor, I would say just do it in big chunks, that's fine. They'll mix up fine. But since I'm using my hands today, I'm going to grate it, and it just allows for a much fluffier pie dough.
I know sometimes when you have those bigger chunks of butter, it's difficult for the whole thing to meld together, so it makes sense to grate it.
Yeah, 100%. It makes everything even, and it just mixes so well into the flour. So we're just gonna mix this into a crumbly texture in the flour. And then once you have it together like this, we can add some water, and you want to make sure you're using ice cold water.
And why is that important, Mika?
You want to use really cold butter and really cold water when you're always doing pie dough. It's like the trick to having the perfect flaky pie dough.
Okay.
And you can add a little bit at a time so it doesn't become too sticky, and it will just come together in a ball. You can knead it over a couple times and then refrigerate it for about an hour or two. You want to refrigerate it so that the gluten has time to rest and that the fat can firm up, and it'll just be the most perfect flaky pie dough. So I'll put this aside. So I have my sliced apples here, and in here I got brown sugar, flour, ginger, nutmeg, and cinnamon. So once you have your dough all set and ready, you can roll it out. This part, it doesn't need to be a perfect circle or any sort of perfect shape. You can make it more rustic looking, that's fine too. So on here we can add our apples. As you can see, mine is not a perfect circle, it's just kind of in that general shape. And you can really just plop them down if you'd like, but I like kind of lining mine up pretty like this. It's good for Instagram photos, Facebook photos. So for this, we're gonna bake it at 375 for about 35 minutes. You wanna do it until it's golden brown. And I'll just throw a couple slices in the middle. Wrap the edges around and tuck them under.
And it's just sort of a rough fold there, right, Mika? We're not looking for perfection, as you said. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, and the sides don't all have to match.
No perfection, just tuck it in, and it'll look like that. So you wanna grab a baking tray with parchment paper, throw this on. Make sure all the apple slices are tucked in, and then that's good to go. So while that's baking, we're gonna do the fun part, which is the homemade caramel. So here I put some sugar and just a little bit of water, a couple tablespoons, and you wanna melt it until it gets nice and yellowy amber. The longer you leave it, the more bitter it will taste. But it's super important when making caramel at home. Do not leave the pot. This can burn so quickly, so you have to stay in here, you have to watch it, and you have to keep stirring.
How long does the whole process usually take, Mika, to make sure the caramel is the right consistency?
It will be beginning to end 10 minutes.
Okay.
Not that bad. So as you can see, the color is starting to come up. And when we're done with the caramel, you'll see it'll be kind of liquidy, but then once you keep it in the fridge, it will thicken up. So it's good to do it while the caramel is still liquidy. Now you want to turn the heat off. And I'm gonna put this down on here. And we're gonna add butter and cream because sugar and butter and cream is what caramel makes. There we go. and just keep whisking until it comes to a nice consistency. Perfect. So I'm gonna throw this in a jar. Look at that.
It looks amazing. Now, do you have the finished, do you have a finished galette there so we can see sort of the final look?
Yes, I do. So here's our finished galette. I put a little bit of caramel on before baking, so it's baked into it, which you could, an option if you like extra caramel like me. And so you just kind of drizzle on the fresh caramel. And then once you're done with the caramel, toasted walnuts.
Looks amazing, Mika. Fantastic recipe. I could celebrate National Dessert Day every day.